Jamuligans, spell like jam, but sounds like hell. Jamuligans, listen along with your friends and fam. It's time to hear from the pastors again.
All right, welcome into Jamuligans, the weekly roundtable discussion of the pastors of Jamul Community Church in San Diego, California. I'm Ryan Murphy, worship pastor, and I'm here with Gary Muster, the senior pastor.
Hey, it's been a long time since I've been on Jamuligans, so hey, good to be here.
It is. And Gary, I was just wondering, what's the temperature like in your office?
Hey, it's beautiful. It's nice. I think I need to put something warmer on. How about you out there? How's it feel?
It's a little warmer. I'm on location here today, and we'll tell you why in a second. But low man on the totem pole. You gotta do the tough assignments.
Exactly. Don't forget it.
I'm just glad there's no hurricanes here in San Diego, or else you guys would have me out in the wind and the rain.
Yeah, or tornado chasing or something.
Right. Yeah, this isn't bad at all. I'm doing fine. We have an uproarious show for you today, so let's jump right in with a little segment we like to call The Buzz.
The Buzz.
The Buzz highlights a weird, wild, wonderful, or woeful story from the news. Today's Buzz is about what news we found out on Monday. San Diego Union Tribune article said California is largely closing again amid a spike in COVID-19 cases across the state, as Governor Gavin Newsom announced statewide restrictions Monday to again halt all indoor dining and close bars, zoos, and museums. At the same time, most counties will be forced to shutter gyms, houses of worship, that's where we come in, hair salons, malls, and other businesses under the new order, which is effective immediately and remains in effect indefinitely. So, Gary, what does this mean for JCC this weekend and beyond?
Yeah, so we could maybe avoid all that other stuff. Do we like it? Do we don't like it? What is the whole story? What are we going to do? And where do we stand with all this? But bottom line is, I mean, it has been a roller coaster. First, the church is shut down, and what do we do? And fortunately, we had already set things up so we could live stream, and we just feel like the Lord had allowed us to do that and set that in place just in the very perfect time. And so we live streamed. Then we were able to come back to church and be together, and yet it's not the same because we're socially distanced. You can only have so many people, and then once we get back, we're kind of thinking that's good, but it's really not the same. And now we get the news. Well, we get the news a couple of weeks ago. You can't sing. And so now what's that like? Not being able to sing. And we talked about that and realized that worshiping God is far beyond just singing, even though we love it and we want to do it. And now we get the news, like you just mentioned, no church again. They're going to cancel church again. And so that sounds like it went from, bad news to, okay, better news to nuts, it's good news to real bad news. But really the way as we're looking at this, I think this is the best news we've had in a while. And I'll tell you why. Because what it's had us to do is take a look, and we're looking at how we can move forward with this news. And what we're going to be doing is just that. We're going to be meeting where we can also sing, where we haven't been able to do before. And not only that, let me get to that other part later. So what we're going to be doing this week, Ryan, we're going to be meeting right where you're sitting right now. We're going to be meeting outside because the restrictions are different. We can continue to meet if we meet outside, and there's no limit to the number of people. We'll be socially distancing. So this Sunday, our meeting will be right where Ryan's at. Those tables will be gone that you see behind him. We'll have chairs up, and we're going to have some other places, hopefully out into the parking lot where you drive through by the portico, and we'll have chairs set up. We'll have the ability to meet out there. We'll have a little bit tiny stage where we'll be, those who are going to be up front will be, and I'm excited about it because we're going to be singing. We've already let some of our neighbors know, hey, if you hear a joyful noise, that's us praising the Lord. So that's exciting to me that we are coming together. Both services, we'll have our 8:30 service, 10:30 service, at least for this week. We're going to adjust maybe in the future to kind of see how this works. And we'll be meeting outside, and we'll have live music. We'll be able to sing, and in addition to that, we're going to be we'll have some coffee. It'll already be pre-purchased and there, and somebody will be serving it. And we're going to have pastries as well. So if you've been missing your donuts, we're not back to donuts yet, but we're going to have already pre-packaged, individually packaged pastries. And so it'll be a little like old times. And so I'm excited. I'm excited for this Sunday, and I hope to see a lot of you there. So that's it, Ryan. You can show us around what it's going to look like, or why else are you sitting over there?
Yeah, that's why I'm here. So again, if you're just listening to this on the podcast, it's on our portico. It's on our outside dining area where we used to have our lunches, and we'll one day again have our lunches out here. So and as Gary said, we're going to move those tables, set up chairs, and distance and all that kind of stuff, and the pop up. So if you're visualizing this without being able to see it, the stage is going to be right behind my head, just kind of on the wall outside the adult classroom or those library stairs door, and that's where we'll have it set up. We will still have the live stream as well, so that'll be another test of our live stream capability, just moving that equipment a little bit and away from maybe stronger internet signals. But we're going to get an Ethernet cable. I was just talking to Brian about that, and we're going to get an Ethernet cable and get our sound system set up. We have a lot of people who are been mobilized since we've been talking about this Tuesday and now today here on Wednesday as we record. Do have your app with you, because we'll have lyrics to the worship songs and also our scripture reading. And then of course the sermon notes, as Gary will be continuing the sermon on 1 Peter. So that'll be available for you in the app. Please bring that along, and that'll make your worship experience go better, go more smoothly, more informed in that way. And then Gary, just kind of one other thing. I think we talked about this just for home groups and, just kind of like the other church activities. I know Thrive met Monday night. Thrive's going to meet again tonight, and outdoors. So those are continuing on. What does this mean for like any other kind of groups, home groups or things like that?
I think the word that we have that we've heard from the county and those officials with that, if you already have a home group and you're meeting in your home, or we have a home group that's meeting at the church, those are still good to go. So those have not been restricted as far as we know. So those are still good to go. And
okay.
Yeah, we're not adding any groups, but those who are already meeting in person have that freedom to continue.
Yeah.
One other thing I didn't mention, but because it's going to be probably a little warm, but not too bad. Actually, we were over there, 9:30, 10:30 earlier this week, and it was beautiful underneath the shade covers. So if you want to bring something to drink, you feel free to do that. They're going to be passing out water as well. So it should just be beautiful, beautiful morning under that shade.
Yeah, I was joking about, being sent outside here, but right now I think it's about 80 degrees and breezy, and it's just beautiful. So I'm not really suffering for Jesus at this moment. Things are pretty nice over here.
Good. It's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm real happy about it.
Yeah, very excited. And again, we can just spread ourselves out all through this area.
But the other thing that we want you to be aware of is that some of our seniors have said they felt like we're not invited. We're told we can't come to the Sunday services. That's not true. We suggested early on that, this is something where it's a high risk. If you're in that high risk area, that maybe you might not want to come. But if you want to come, we'd love to see you. So don't feel like you're uninvited. You're certainly invited. Welcome to come if you're in that high risk area, in that high risk group. And if the guy who's going to be preaching is in that high risk group. So anyway.
So that was the buzz. Now let's zip on over to a segment called Shoot from the Hip.
Are you serious?
Shoot from the Hip, another one we haven't done in a while. This is where the congregation emails us at Jamuligans@hamul.org with their curious or unusual or whimsical questions about life, faith, the comet in the night sky calling Neowise, and everything in between. Today's question comes from Matt in Hamul, and he asks, what is the dumbest way you have ever been injured? Do you want to go first on this one, Gary?
Sure, I'll go first. And,
awesome. Thank you.
but you don't get to ditch it. So I thought about that, and I've been injured a few ways, on the basketball court and off the court and riding my bike and a lot of different ways that I can think through the years. Some I don't even want to share with you. But I think probably the most embarrassing is my mom was the only one that saw it. This is the most embarrassing I can think of now. I'm sure there's more. But I was riding, it's another Willow story, and I was trying to find one that wasn't maybe Willow story, but here we go. So I had this bright idea that I wanted to see how far I could ride down the middle of the street on Willow with my eyes closed. And it's a pretty good street, pretty long street. I figured, man, I could go quite a ways. I just put them in the middle, put my handlebars right where they're supposed to be, ride straight down that street and see if I could get down halfway down the street. There weren't any cars coming, so it seemed pretty safe. So I'm riding down the street, pretty good pace, thinking this is great. I'm going a long ways. This is awesome. Wait till I brag about this. And then I kind of hear my mom saying, Gary. And right before I responded to that by opening my eyes, I crashed into this car, right straight into the car, tumble over my handlebars, and I'm laying out flat on the hood of the neighbor's car. I didn't even make it to my house. And my mom's like, what are you doing? And how do you answer that? I was riding down the street with my eyes closed. Who doesn't do that? Anyway. And it was pretty embarrassing. I'm glad the rest of the kids didn't see it, just my mom. But yeah, it was embarrassing. Your mom watched you do something so idiotic.
And what I'm really concerned about was how was the neighbor's car?
Yeah, I think I got off and up and left real quick. And
so yeah, my dumbest injury probably was when I was probably about 10 or 11 years old, and my parents said you're not allowed to ride a 3-wheeler or a 4-wheeler at all. And so I went to my friend's house and I disobeyed my parents and got on my friend's 3-wheeler, and he didn't know how to ride it either. He didn't tell me any tips or anything. So I went full speed around this field and I was just enjoying it. I was in heaven. And then I didn't slow down around the curve and rolled it all the way down this hill. Luckily, I rolled it into an empty parking spot. Literally, there was a car parked in front and in back of this spot. And so it could have been, I could have really damaged that vehicle and maybe hurt the 3-wheeler worse. But I rolled it on my ankle and had a cut in my ankle. And, so anyway, it was just like that Christmas story, you'll shoot your eye out, kid. And sure enough, my mom was right. As soon as 3-wheelers were too dangerous, and I did get injured immediately upon riding one.
Well, that makes my story seem pretty silly, so that's a great story. Okay. And hey, kids, just a reminder, don't try this at home. And when your parents tell you something, maybe they know something. But Ryan, have you learned your lesson since then to listen to your mom?
I always listen to my mother, and if she's listening to this, I'm sorry I disobeyed you. I should have known better.
We might need to send you to your room for 10 minutes just as a late discipline.
Yeah, that would be appropriate. Now that I think of it, I think I've been grounded from 3-wheelers for the last 30 or so years. So I guess that's my punishment.
There you go. Probably.
Well, Matt, we gave that our best shot. Keep sending your questions to Jamuligans@jamul.org, and we'll try to answer them in future episodes. That's going to do it for Jamuligans this week. Remember the Jamuligans slogan: whatever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, or admirable. If it's excellent or praiseworthy, think on such things. That's Philippians 4:8. Until next time.
You've just listened to Jamuligans, a podcast of Jamul Community Church, the church home you've been looking for. Come back next week for more from the pastors.